So in the beginning, it was a lonely, clandestine group of parents, mostly huddled online, talking about what they were worried about. They saw an incredibly divisive message on race that was permeating the lessons that were being taught to their children, even the youngest kids in some schools. But now there is a growing awareness of what has been going on in our schools. And now Senator Mitch McConnell and 37 of his colleagues also very bold stand on this as well. McConnell argues, quote, families did not ask for this divisive nonsense. Voters did not vote for it. Americans never decided our children should be taught that our country is inherently evil. Congressional correspondent Chad Pergram reporting live on this very bold move from Republicans on the Hill with this in this regard. Hi, Chad.
Good afternoon, Martha. Well, this is the latest skirmish in the culture wars. The Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell called the agenda radical and one which fixates solely on past flaws. He says students shouldn't be taught that our country is inherently evil. McConnell says this is part of a Democratic trend.
The far left certainly gets the message. Some of the most liberal members of Congress have gone out of their way to say they're surprised and delighted by the president's willingness to do things their way.
The Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona, says he hasn't seen the letter from McConnell.
The federal government doesn't really have a role in the curriculum development to ensure that we're providing diverse perspectives in our curriculum so students can see themselves in it, but doing it in a way that builds community in our schools. I have complete confidence that the educators will get it right.
The problem for Democrats is courting voters more focused on economics than left-wing politics.
People at the end of the day get the most motivated about and are going to go vote and going to go make their political decisions based on those types of bread and butter kitchen table issues.
Republicans are using this issue as a wedge to reach voters for 2022. Martha?
Chad, thank you very much. Joining me now is one of the signers of that letter, Republican Senator Mike Braun of Indiana. He also served on a school board for 10 years, so he has a lot of background in these issues. Senator, good to see you. Good to have you with us today. Why did you sign this letter?
Well, this is an easy one. When you've got the New York Times drumming up the 1619 Project, and you've got critical race theory that is being spewed across the country, and President Biden going along with the left side of his party to actually try to push this into grants into our school system. I can tell you, I came from a local school board. I'm actually in my office back in my hometown today, and I see in my own workforce diversity. We need employees, and that is so off the mark, and to be based upon even what credentialed historians are saying has errors embedded in it. It's not going to resonate on Main Street. I think it's going along with the risk that he's taking with a border policy. I was down there about 3 weeks ago. That is going to add up into issues in 2022. And I think if you're risking that much politically, you're pushing in so many directions that just don't coincide with mainstream. Jasper, Indiana, most places around the country, you really got to scratch your head why he's doing it.
Yeah, and how deep the understanding is of what's in some of these ideas for curriculums, because as you say, the Biden White House is making 1619 and related anti-racism writings by Kendi sort of a benchmark for receiving grant money. You have to be at least open to including some of these as what you're teaching. And for those, a lot of people throw around. I just on this 1619 project. It says the goal of the 1619 project is to reframe American history, making explicit how slavery is the foundation on which the country is built. For generations, we have not been adequately taught this history. Our hope is to paint a fuller picture of the institution that shaped our nation. So the argument here by this project is that everything was built on the back of slavery, and that the perpetuation of that is what has led to systemic racism that exists in a whole way in the institutions of the country.
And I think that is generalizing in a way that is dangerous. When you look at what else went into forming democracy, slavery is a blemish, something that we fought a civil war over. But when you try to make the argument that it's systemic, to me, that is a bridge too far, and it just is not coinciding with reality. I've on a school board for 10 years, had a business for 37 years prior to becoming a senator, and you don't see it. And when you use something like a default racism on the excuse for why things aren't working in this country, to me, it's a smokescreen, a cover for policies that aren't working otherwise. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I would just point out before we say goodbye that the survey found that 51% of Americans only 51% of Americans can name the 3 branches of government in this country. They also found that the majorities of Americans in 49 states, District of Columbia, an F on the United States citizenship exam. So although there are components of this that certainly deserve discussion, and you make a great point, obviously, about the wound of slavery in the country, but when we have a nation that doesn't even understand our own basic civics, we have to really raise some questions about the whole thrust here. Mike Braun, Senator from Indiana, thank you very much, sir. Good to have you here today. Thanks for coming on.
Bet.